once again as the #1 seeded Cavaliers. So we'll be tied Jerome again.
Their poise in that second half was impressive. Let's see who can get off to a good start. Remember, +11 were the Pacers after the first quarter in game one.
Tony Brothers, David Guthrie, Nick Booker, our terrific officiating crew, and that is Tyrese Halliburton picking up where he left off. He was 22 and 13 assists in the opener.
And he does it within the confines of their system. And some might say that he is their system because of his style of play.
How does Donovan Mitchell handle the scoring burden tonight? Well, encouraging start for the Cavs.
Yeah, he's going to have to be aggressive offensively, but I felt like they just didn't move the basketball very well in that first game, as you see. And offensively, it's going to be important, but I really feel like their defense is going to have to be infinitely better than it was the last game.
Mitchell misfires on a three. Remember, he struggled from deep in game one, just 1 of 10 from the three-point line. Pascal Siakam, bit of a mismatch, and then it's Jerome able to collapse with the help. Mitchell on the attack, brings out. Kept alive underneath. This is Jerome probing Allen. Where they need a big night from all of these other players.
And early on here, you expect Mitchell to be aggressive.
Nesmith.
This movement where they didn't move the defense from side to side, it created no screens, especially in the open floor.
Indiana won game one on the strength of their three-point shooting. Can that hot three-point stroke continue for them as Nesmith misses in the corner? Indiana was 19 of 36 in game one, G, at nearly a 53% clip. Allen, pass, get up by Strus.
And really set up by Mitchell. If you saw how that Pacers defense was loaded to him, the quick pass to Strus and that deep dive there by Allen creates it.
Miles Turner working on the perimeter, surrounded, double team. Nesmith able to beat Jerome with the step. Allen to help. Nesmith the force, missed everything.
That possession we did not see a lot of defensively in game one. That was a great job of not allowing the Pacers to dictate.
Mitchell, you felt really good about what his teams did in game one, but that look just never changes. Poked away, Turner showing some of his defensive abilities. Here's Andrew Nembhard again, magnificent the other day. Here's Nesmith. So Aaron Nesmith now, one of his first three from deep.
Yeah, you talked about it. They were electric from deep in game one, getting off to a little bit of a slower start here.
Nembhard the takeaway. Jerome thought he was bumped. Siakam open.
To the years, you did a phenomenal job, but this is defensively, and I think that's going to work to their detriment if it doesn't change.
Darius Garden didn't miss a ton of games this year. Played 75 games most of his career. Last year, in games that they were without both Mobley and Garland, Cleveland went 14-4. So they've been here before. How do they handle things tonight?
When you shift eyes and shift bodies, it creates opportunities for you offensively.
Siakam out to Nembhard, catch and shoot. A little bit too much. So the Pacers 1 of 4 from deep.
Well, the Pacers, the ball's not popping like we saw at the start of game one. Credit that, I think, somewhat to how Cleveland's come out defensively.
Mitchell tripped up
defense time and time again in game one.
Well, they desperately big shooting night from the three.
That is what was missing. They came into game one leading the postseason in three-point shooting as a team. It just was not there in game one.
Max Strus, last 2 games, going back to the Heat series, just 3 of 15 from deep. Shot clock at 3, Halliburton, Nembhard, that's a deep 3, barely gets rim. And it's out of bounds.
From the Cavs, they're not allowing the Pacers to move the ball with quickness.
Ty Jerome looking for some early offense. A little bit of chatter about the number of shots, GA, that he had in game one. He took 20 shots.
Didn't create a lot of offense. It was a lot of self-willing. And I think they've got to get away from that and have a little more trust in their teammates.
Donovan Mitchell Right around Halliburton, just couldn't put it down. Halliburton on the run. One of their first fast break opportunities, sets the table. This is Turner. The rebound for Wade. One of the reasons Atkinson wanted to plug in Wade tonight, his ability to rebound and defend with some of that length. Mitchell. As Sam Merrill now is inserted for the first time tonight for Kenny Atkinson. Here comes Strus, contact.
On some of those playoff runs he had with the Jazz, Mitchell felt like he
wasted no time, but Kenny Atkinson has talked about some of those early conversations, maybe pulling it, and everything worked to perfection during the regular season. But Greg, as you know better than anyone, boy, it's just different in the playoffs. Now the injuries, how does Mitchell navigate all of that?
It's going to be important, but I tell you, this stretch here with all of the substitutions in, also equally as important, because it was when they went to the bench in game one, the Pacers, that they start to really create some separation. And let's see if they can be the Cavs a little more connected defensively here to start.
T.J. McConnell into the game. You saw the drought for the Pacers. Turner, Art, Cavs. Indiana, Greg has missed 6 straight.
They haven't gotten their running game going. And credit the Cavs, they're not creating a lot of offense off the pass. There's a lot more dribbling to start this game from the Pacers. That's not necessarily the strength of their offense.
Both teams struggling from the field of their first 13.
Because that's where you find the cracks in this Pacers defense.
Mathurin picks up his second in less than 2 minutes. And Merrill rips one from deep. Cavaliers now 2 of their first 5 from the three-point line. Turner lead pass, Halliburton. That ball moving like a hot potato for the Pacers. They just can't shoot straight at the start. Toppin.
One of the other adjustments I really like from the Cavs, they've gone with a Okoro on T.J. McConnell, who is a much better defender, especially against a crappy player like McConnell.
Halliburton threads the needle on top, and Turner's pass for Toppin too high. That transition that was so surgical in game one, just a little bit off kilter here at the start for the Pacers. Beautiful pass. This is Okoro underneath, and he lays it in.
Get them to get out and run to the corners, and they forced them to then have to put the ball on the floor to try to create better spacing, and they've extended. I love using Okoro more. He's probably their best perimeter defender, and so they utilize him on McConnell. Now he's going to get the task with Halliburton.
Boy, Nembhard crafty, finding some daylight underneath. First field goal in more than 6 minutes for the Pacers.
And one thing, if you're the Cavs, too, make the Pacers a two-point team. Don't allow them all that spacing and ball movement where they can pick you apart and shoot threes.
Here comes Allen trying to cock it.
Extending their defense a little more with Mitchell and Tyrone, making the early feed to Jared Allen, who has made a lot of good decision-making in the half court.
Nembhard trying to get Merrill onto his back, chisels his way into the paint, misses back of the rim. Thomas Bryant has checked in for Rick Carlisle and grabs the offensive rebound.
Communication, he is doing it all here for the Cavs.
Pacers have as many field goals as turnovers so far, as we are under the 4-minute mark in the first quarter. Shepherd trying to defend Mitchell. Mitchell stops on a dive to spin the fake. Under the bright lights of the NBA postseason.
And, you know, he's not really tall, but he's really wide. And he's got tremendously long arms, and that width gives him great leverage. Charles Barkley was a player like that. Was only 6'5" as a power forward, but he had such great leverage with the width of that body. It made it really